gonna smooth it up and bring this Wednesday in right. Fixing your face right over there. I see you. Fix your face. All right. This is that boom bap breakfast right here on Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show. And whoa. Let me introduce you to your host, but I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me do this like this. Big up to my man, Dr. Jared Paul. And no other than Burn It Down, Kim Brown. And Kamal. Okay, Franklin. Yeah.
Can I go on record as saying I hate the Ear Doctor?
I thought you had already established that. This is
That's true. I don't know if the public knew that officially.
Wow.
First thing out his mouth.
Not only did he have an airport run, like he's like Pablo Escobar, but because of his airport run, there were no breaks yesterday. And an old man's constitution can't sit in front of a screen for 2 hours. 2 hours. Without a break.
There's no shame. Sometimes you just got to put up a little, cover screen and be like, I'll be right back.
I should have done that. But instead, nobody's going to look closely, but I was in a video making tight,
soldiering through.
Like that. It was all like this.
Hey, and next time when you come to pre-production, you can get it. Oh, that's right. You don't come to pre-production. You come right after. But yeah. Anyway, welcome out everybody to the world.
Wow.
Big up to our new member right here. We got Nathaniel Turner. Big up, Nathaniel.
Big Nat.
Appreciate people you. Are coming and going. I feel like Nathaniel has been around. Like, did he? Is this like you just been around and just now became a member? Or you were a member for a while, then dropped off and came back? I feel like Nathaniel's been around for a minute. Anyway, welcome back. Either way,
we are less than 300 subscribers away from the big 20,000.
Wow, we that close?
We are that close at this stage.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. People need to stop fronting and hit that subscribe button.
Big things.
Seriously, man. Because look at Kamal over there in the dark, y'all. We need some bread.
He needs some light. I thought the same thing, Kim. I was thinking the same thing. And I was gonna wait. I was gonna jump on it because Kamal fronted on me. We haven't seen each other on camera yet, and Kamal fronted on me so hard the last few times. I redid my whole space to get an appropriate backdrop, and then this fool gonna show up with no lights, Kim.
I like your backdrop. This is cool. This almost looks real.
Somebody put in the comments that and I think they were not being sarcastic. They were like, I think he really did get a COLA increase and bought, and this is his house. I thought we always knew he was rich. I was like, son, this is.
But that's one of the best ones I've seen. Usually when people put the background up, you can tell that they're not where it looks like they're at.
I got a paycheck and went to Amazon. No disrespect to the workers and anybody else, but for straight up, that's what I did. And I said, Kamal, I got to get Kamal off my back. I was like, I got to get another green screen. I got to rearrange the room. I was in here putting in work because Kamal was upset.
Work. I don't know why
he shows up with no damn
I'll
lights.
Move the lights around
in the dark.
Hey,
why are you in the dark, Kamal? I mean,
I don't know. This is the normal setup. You think I do anything different any day?
It's just dark outside.
Excuse me?
It's just dark outside.
Kamal, he relies exclusively on the natural lighting. So there is no artificial lighting at all.
I got some lamps overhead. I used to have some artificial lighting, but I didn't like the idea that I had to turn that on every day. So I was like, what the fuck, dude? But I do have some lamps that are normally here, but maybe they're too much over. So I'll make some adjustments when there's a break.
Oh, wow. Look how I can't take one day off. These guys take weeks off.
You
take one day off. Hold up, though, Ear Doctor. That's not.
And I'll be here.
Day off.
I do 4 shows a week here. Let's get it straight now. Let's get it straight.
Hold up, though.
4 times a week I'm on.
We love and respect you, Ear Doctor. We love and respect you. We appreciate your work. But I gotta slide over to Kamal's side on this one because either way, you deserve all the time off in the world, but not 5 minutes before on the show. Talking about I gotta run to the airport.
No, that was an hour before the show.
No, it was like 26 minutes before the show started.
In production, an hour is 5 minutes, man. Like that's, and I thought that was it. And then Kamal, and if people could, like, you know, I know people experience this when the text message you receive, it comes with all of the sarcasm and all of the vibe. Kamal's text, it just read through. You got an airport run.
Word, really? Right now?
All of a sudden, out the blue.
Listen.
Like, where you running to the airport? Like, what runs to the airport?
Whoa, when an elder calls and says, "Listen, I need help," you go help an elder. Doubt. So that's yeah. Take that. As a matter of fact, I'm at the airport now and I'm going to the moon. I'll catch y'all later.
Hey, going to the moon, air doctor.
I would have put that in the text though. I would have said to everybody, "Look, an elder called me last minute. I gotta go." He was like, "I gotta run to the airport."
I agree. It would have been a better text. I don't think it would have been believed. It would have been a better text. Like, what?
You should have been like, Kamal still would have been like, an elder called you for real.
30 minutes before the show. Last week, your hard drive crashed for one day. For one day. And then you was like, oh, but it'll be back up tomorrow. It's like, all right,
that's what you saying.
You're going to stop disrespecting me.
God came in the room.
Damn.
Kamal, I'm wondering, what are you going to do when the time changes and it's still going to be very much darker at 8 o'clock? Are you just going to literally sit in the dark for us?
He's going to go to camp and hold a flashlight under his face.
But that's what it'll be like. I'll get some new lighting then. Look, I think it's already brightened up a little bit.
Your face already, but you was already
rising.
bright. The brightness is not the issue here. Are you well illuminated? The brightness exists when Kamal steps in the room. How illuminated are you? Is the question.
Mm-hmm. I would say I missed you yesterday, Kim, but you know.
Kamal, you lighten up every room, dearest. Every room you walk in is already brighter.
Oh,
all the puns.
All puns included.
All puns intended. Anywho, it's good to see you, brothers. I haven't seen y'all. Well, I've been seeing Kamal. It's good to see you, Jared.
Likewise. Good to be seen again. And good to see you all while I'm actually on the screen with you. I should say that. Because I feel like I see you all constantly, all the work. I watch everything. I'm in all these YouTube streets.
The YouTube streets is deep. Journey is deep out here. Congratulations to the channel on the threshold of 20,000 subscribers.
Yeah, let's get that.
Quite
let's
a milestone.
Get that this morning. Like, tell somebody to join you this morning, and let's get that before we go off air. How about that? Like,
hey, I tell the people on Status Quo. I tell them. I mentioned BPM and my channel. Like, go subscribe. So if we getting some other subscribers, then good. Then good.
So, by the way, So I have not, that's one of the YouTube streets I have fallen off on. I got to admit that, like, because I am in general have been a big Status Quo fan. Just in general, I've always appreciated Jordan's approach to his work. But I'm trying to keep up. So he's now, or Status Quo is now partnering with not Rising, but Crystal and Kendall, right? Aren't they doing some sort of part?
I don't know.
because I keep seeing these headlines and some and I do catch some of these clips with some of this I guess libertarian, left of center, white, there's like these and then but Crystal and them had left the Hill, but then Brianna Joy Gray just got in trouble with the Hill. Did she get in? Or no, not Brianna. Katie Halper.
Yeah. Who all?
So I'm just trying to keep up with all the. I'm trying to like all the overlaps. I'm fascinated by the overlaps. And
I'm gonna give her some credit though. The Katie Halper person. Like she did that. She did the thing on Israeli apartheid, and I was like, you go.
I watched it. I said like not that she or anybody pays me any attention, but I did tag her on Twitter, and I said after watching it, I was like, I'm about to take, given what she was saying about the right of return and the rules, which I was not up on. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my Panamanian wife and my Nation of Islam brother, and we're about to go get a plot of land in Israel. You know what I'm saying? Get my right of return on. She said, all you need is one grandparent. I got two.
Jared said, I got two on them.
I got two. I was like, word. And she didn't say anything because I thought that there was always this thing about you have to, there's like a board and you have to have demonstrated a Jewish life. It's not just a parentage thing. And I always thought that would have been the hang up. Mm-hmm. But if it's strictly a lineage thing, I'm about to go get me a plot.
And return it to the Palestinians?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like how right of return does it get? Like, what are those rights? Like, what rights do I have? Does it mean that I can't? I'm sure the right says you can't give.
You up until you open your mouth and they find out your politics or do 5 seconds of research, they will snatch back that right of return in 3
Not
seconds.
You, everybody but this nigga right here.
Exactly. Well, not the black Jew. Not the black Jew.
They go throw me in with the falashas and be like, nah, nice try.
Nice try.
But I don't know what the records are. I just know what my family myth is. And the family myth is that my grandmother, as a child, her parents were thrown out of what was still then Palestine because the early Zionist project was not suited to them and they spoke out against it. And they were sort of forced. That's how, my line started in New York. Because they all got thrown out. They had been, and they claimed that they had felt tricked out of Eastern Europe in the first place to go over there. And it was always reported that they had a very friendly relationship with the Arabs and whoever else was already there, and they weren't down with the religious stuff. And so I don't know if there was ever actually a record of that happening. But then they might have that on file as well and be like, look, we got rid of him once already. We're not trying to have you try to come back again. The right to return
is more about the obviously the biblical tale of the Jews being forced off the land. So as long as your mama claims Judaism, that's all they care about. All they want is numbers. They want hard code. That's why the biggest I don't know if this is still true today, but for a while, the biggest influx of so-called immigrants were from Brooklyn. So it was Jews.
Hold up, Anthony. I've been claiming my mother's New York connection. Stop it. I've been just trying to distance that Brooklyn from Kamal's Brooklyn.
You ain't got to have no paperwork. You don't got to show nothing. In fact, the more paperwork, the worse it is for you. But if you're Palestinian, you got keys, paperworks, you got deeds. It don't matter. It don't matter at all. All you got to do to get in there and be Jewish, which is obviously the basis of the apartheid state, is to say my mama was such and such, or this is my Jewish.
Well, Katie said you just had to have one grandparent because my mother, I think my mother might have been more offensive to that cause than I have been actually. So when Katie said you just need the one grandparent, that's when I was like, like I said, I got two.
Would your grandparents be in the records, in whatever record? Because I'm assuming there's records, right?
No, there's no records. They're not dating back to any historical. They're not dating back to anybody who previously was there. Their right to return is for anybody who claims Judaism as a religion, and who, as Jared said, has some history of some family history. If you claim Judaism as a religion, don't matter where you're from, you have a right to return to Israel. And obviously, the opposite is true. If you're a Palestinian, you can't get back into Israel.
You have the right to not ever
return. And you have the right to have more of your land taken. You may have a right to work at the hours they subscribe, and you have to get out after dark, or you can live in a particular territory until they take it over. But that's the extent of any particular rights you have in terms of returning. There is no right to return.
But what are the rules though? Like I admit ignorance on this. So like if I go back over there and get my little plot, right? And then I literally start bringing does that mean, do they have regulation? Like you can only have 0 to 1 Palestinian guest or Like if like you can't invite Palestinians over here. Like there's like you can't you can't have you can only have 3 non-Jewish Black relatives or family over at one time. Like are there like is it like limits?
I don't know if they're that particular, but they're particular enough where it duplicates our own history here. You're out after dark and you're Palestinian. Boom, you can get your records checked. You can get stopped and pulled over. They're literally different roads in some places.
Now that I know, right?
Israel,
Yeah.
that Palestinians.
But can like a Palestinian stay over at the crib and not be out after curfew?
If your neighbors don't tell on you.
Wow. Word. Damn. I'm actually gonna start looking into this beyond just the jokes, just to see what's up with that. But anyway, no, but to your original point, Kamal, for all the loving and gentle jabs, pun intended, I give folks for maybe what they don't do around political prisoners or this or that or whatever. I think what Katie did in that commentary, I watched the joint, it was on point. And honestly, I was shocked, given what I thought I understood about the political trajectory of Rising, that she would have been even invited on to talk about it at all, much less actually gotten those words out to then be punished for it. Because she straight up talking about, she said Zionism and apartheid in the same commentary. So I was like, damn. I mean, that's anyway. So. Shout out.
Is it radical for white Americans to have those politics?
Yeah.
My experience, it is, yeah. Particularly to even raise a critique of Israel that mentions that talks about Zionism. Like there's even people who will dance around and say it's unfair, unequal. They might even say apartheid. But I'm always looking for those buzzwords, and I don't often hear Zionism and apartheid in the same same. And yes, yeah, I think in general they're conditioned to say at most, let's stop the violence on both sides and let's, that kind of thing.
Somebody just noted in the chat that she had Norman Finkelstein on her show.
Right.
So if anybody who knows who Norman Finkelstein is, she definitely would never be invited on mainstream news or whatever again, if she has a connection to that guy. So.
No, I didn't see that interview, but he's supposed to now. When we last interviewed, I think a year ago, he was saying he was going to be doing some work involving pop culture, race, and like, if I remember correctly, like sort of the fraudulence of some of this pop Black leadership, something like that.
Finkelstein was,
and I remember. That's what, and I said to him, I remember, because he said, and I said to him, I don't know if we were on or off air, to be honest with you, I can't remember, but I said to him, he said, something about coming back to talk about that. And I was like, honestly, I'm less interested in that than I am in your conversation around Israel and Palestine. Like, I was like, honestly, I was a little bit like unprepared. It was like, all due respect, my man, let's lane up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know if I'm not inviting that. I don't know. So I need to check out and get an update on where he is, if he's continued with that work, or maybe it's out already. But I was like, I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I might have to let that one slide. I was like, I'm gonna get another guest for that. I'm gonna get another guest for that conversation.
I think we got that part covered, Norm. Anyway, I see we over, and Ear Doctor's ready to come on back, and he's of course a man of the world, so appropriately backdropped.
No doubt. And speaking of family history, I hope y'all got to check out Sundays, where we had Dr. Jared Ball come through, and we did a musical interview conversation about where he started, what got him to listening to certain types of music. So I plan on doing with the rest of the hosts also. Is Kim on mute?
No.
It was a lot of fun. Oh no.
Okay.
Sometimes I just say.
What?
Okay. Nah, but it was dope getting to know, another side of a person, to understand how they grew up with the music, because music is a big part of a lot of people's lives. So
yes. Oh my
check
God,
that out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And definitely do that with everybody else, because having sort of like an interview mixtape live is fun. It was a lot of fun, and I broke out the little Benny, you know.
Yeah, he had the hen rock on. He had the hen rock on deck.
But shout out to little Benny and the Masters. I was like, I'm not giving him no plug.
Or rise in power, little Benny. Rise in power, little Benny.
No doubt.
So let's take a quick break here. So vintage bladder over there can go take a break. All right, right here at the Remix Morning Show. Is it gonna work?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I got like jet lag over here. I don't know what's going on. It's from going to the airport. Yo, so big up to everybody. Make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, hit that button, share it with somebody so we can get up to 20,000 subscribers. Y'all are great, and we appreciate y'all so much. Make sure y'all continue to go to patreon.com, drop some change in the bucket, become a member, and all that. With that said, you see the world in my background. Let me go ahead and give y'all the weather report. All right, let's start in Tampa, Florida, where they had a whole lot of rain and Ian came through crazily. Let's start in Tampa, Florida. They got a high of 83 degrees. Next, let's take it down up to Queens. Big up to the Queens, New York. They got a high today of 60 degrees. Next, let's take it Midwest to the D. Detroit, Michigan. They got a high today of 76 degrees. Now, let's take a little bit of West Coast to Denver, Colorado. Denver, they got a high of 66 degrees. Now, let's take it a little up top from the West Coast, and let's go to Seattle, where they say they got some good coffee. They got a high today of 68 degrees. And now let's take it over to the motherland, other land. Santa Maria, Cabo Verde. That's like a real little small piece off of Africa over there off the west side of Africa, in case you ain't know. They got a high today of 85 degrees, which is, pretty average. But I'll tell you what else is pretty average. Y'all ready for this? Another slave movie. That's right. Another slave movie is so average. And we talk about a slave movie. We're talking about, okay, Will Smith, you know what? You want to get back on? We'll put you on. And guess what we're going to do to you? We're going to put you in the slave movie. Check this out, man. This is crazy.
Follow the sound of Lincoln's cannons. My family is with me forever.
I can't do it. I can't do it again. I'm sorry. I can't do another slave movie. So that's what it is. Let's get back to the Remix Morning Show because my computer is bugging right now. All right, let's do it right here on the Remix Morning Show, y'all. Let's go.
I don't particularly. I think I get your point, but I don't necessarily have an issue with another movie about enslavement or potentially rebellion. I just have an issue with not with the subject matter. I would just like to see other stories told within that history that we probably are never going to see. Mm-hmm. But I get your point, but yeah, so.
And another one.
It just can't be Will Smith, I feel. He no longer can be taken seriously.
Yeah.
In terms of him deep diving into an acting role. It's like, it's Will Smith. It's the dude that smacked Chris Rock. It's to do with all
Yes.
the mental issues or whatever.
Something that transcended him into legend status. Legend. Again, not everybody was turned off by that slap. Let me speak for myself. I wasn't turned off by the slap. I'm actually more of a fan of Will Smith probably than I ever was. Like,
oh, wow.
He slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. I mean, good, because, you know, Will has been basically a sucker most of his career. You know, he speaks out favorably about Israel, talks about, you know, we need to try to get along, figure out how to get along with the police. It's like, nigga, shut up. But that slap,
I brought him back.
He got his card back.
Got his card back.
Wow.
West Philadelphia, born and raised. Like, yes. Yes. So anyway, Slave, I'm not really sure about this. They screened this in DC the other day, and apparently it got a standing ovation from everybody who was in attendance. So the reviews so far, early reviews I've heard, is that it's very good.
Oh my God, another one. Listen, I can't.
Wait, who is in attendance for that?
Probably a bunch of Bucci, a bunch of Black History Museum curators, a bunch of
you
people.
You already know.
The black bourgeoisie of Washington, D.C., you know they was in there.
Was Will there?
DC
Will was there.
Strong...
Will was there. Yeah, he was there.
Oh, he was there. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He was there.
Okay, then it was definitely okay. So it was black tie, A-list, red carpet. Okay. Yeah, and DC definitely has its fair share of the bourgeoisie, no question.
What was his bodyguard there?
I wasn't there, your doctor. I don't
know.
I'm
talking about Jada. She wasn't there.
Which was his bodyguard.
You better leave Jada alone. You better leave Jada alone. Because you know
Yeah,
her husband is out here smacking niggas. So y'all suggest you leave Jada alone. Her husband will put hands on you.
He's the bodyguard. He's the bodyguard.
Yeah,
I have to do anything.
I still have a very childish reaction to that first, because I'm still in that Cedric the Entertainer, I wish he would category. When you start saying that, like, watch out for Will, I'm like, yeah, okay.
You understand, Will Smith is smacking niggas on national television. Okay, like
he smacked Chris Rock. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He smacked Chris Rock.
Yeah,
at the Oscars.
5'6", 130 pound Chris Rock. He smacked. 6'2", a solid 190, whatever. Will Smith. He picked his victims carefully.
Chris,
I don't know. I'm talking shit because I'm. Yeah, there you go.
If a man my size, gentlemen, I'm 5'2", 100 pounds. If a man my size has something to say about your wife, well, you gonna be like, oh, he just 5'2". I'm not gonna say nothing. I mean, you understand?
Honestly, if a comedian
at a show,
if a comedian at a show, right? Yeah. If the extent of the joke is one line about my wife's hair from a comedian at a show, I'm not going up on stage and swinging on somebody. That's
after the show, and backstage.
No. I mean, seriously. I mean, I have had. Look, I mean, in fact, I would be more upset with my wife if she got mad at me for not doing something in response to something like that. If that look that everybody talks about that Jada said to gave him, if that look was real and there was real intent behind it, like, you gonna let me get punked like this? Like, my wife and I would probably have to have a conversation. Like, what do you expect to happen out here?
Yeah.
Like every little. But I'm saying if behind that look was the actual Jared, you're supposed to get up there and like she would want to talk with me about that later. Yeah, like I would be like, what are you talking about? You want me to be smacking people every time somebody has a little joke about your hair or a little joke about this or says something even more inappropriate? No, we grown out here. We grown. What are you talking about?
I'm not a whole show talking about our family, his business. We make our money off of people talking about us at the stage. That's how we make our money. I'm glad he said it.
When I really do feel like when you are grown, and I admit the older I get, the more I feel like this. The older I get, the more dangerous I feel like I become, and therefore the more reserved I think I need to be. Like, violence is for very specific reasons. Like, and a joke from a comedian, I don't think is one of them.
My theory about that is that Chris has been talking shit about Jada for some time. And my theory is that at some point in the past, Will told him, or it was communicated to Chris, if you say one more thing about Jada, you getting slapped. I don't think it started that night. I think that this was a longer history that happened to culminate on that particular evening. So I think Chris had plenty of forewarning to keep Jada's name out his mouth. He chose to make a different decision, and Will made the decision that he did. Now, again, the whole projection behind, you see the look that Jada gave him. Jada told him to go kick him in the nuts just by looking at him. I said, wait a minute. That's a lot of assumption and projection. Just because a woman gives her husband a look, I can't see that the directive for violence was behind that look. But to your point,
I don't blame Jada should be blamed at all for anything.
That's
I think it's more. I think Will is out of his mind for what he did. Because I don't accept the rationale that, again, if a comedian says something and they have a comedy routine and you're included, then you get to go to the comedian and be like, keep my name or my wife's name or whatever out your mouth. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're a public person. You make fun of people. People make fun of you. You make hundreds of millions of dollars doing it. Grow the fuck up. It's okay. You'll survive it. The answer is not for you to go smack some dude because you're feeling upset or angry or something like that. I'm just like, that just don't make no sense to me whatsoever.
I really don't think people get smacked enough. And I really hope that the takeaway is watch your mouth. Like, please don't think that you can be out here in any given situation just saying whatever. Like, I really like the message that is sent. Like, people need to be more selective about what they say. Just because you're a comedian does not give you carte blanche to crack on anybody, anytime about anything. So, anyway. So that's I didn't feel negatively about Will after the slap. I actually liked it better.
Hey, real quick, since we're talking about entertainment news and before we go on to the other news, we're gonna talk about this entertainer right here.
Yeah,
what's there to say?
With Kanye.
What's there to say? I mean, only thing I can say about that is that for all the young people that look up to Kanye and love him, I'm like, what else does he have to do to show y'all that he's a fucking cornball? Like, what else does Kanye have to do? All the evidence is right there. I need for people to stop standing, stop standing these cornball ass ends. Like, seriously. I'm not saying.
And on a much lower, less serious level, his talent and his cultural production does not at this point warrant any room or excuse making like we do for other artists. I'll speak for myself, like I do for other artists all the time. Like, he is not Miles Davising, he is not James Browning out here musically anymore. He's not even at that level where I even feel like people should be like, but his art is this and that. No, he's just in full clown mode, full. And I heard someone else say this on Comedy Hype, but I'll give them credit for this. But I agree that I think he does a lot of what we see other people do, like Byron Allen and others. They get real black when they have a particular issue with white America. And then once that gets straightened out, here they come right back to the same clowning and nonsense. And so for whatever people want to say about, well, he's just trying to get attention and sell this and do that, you should find other ways of doing it than partnering up with Candace Owens and wearing shirts like that while people are out here for whatever we think of BLM. There are people out here really trying to do good work and meaningful work that you are scuttling and making harder by this kind of nonsense. And I see you, comrade. We appreciate the super chat and the request to move on. I do just want to say very quickly, I was waiting to get this. I want to get this reminder in. It's been almost 30 years at this point, and I was a much younger and much more immature man. But the one time that comic talent, and I still remember his name, out of New York, literally put a spotlight on me at a show and did a whole few minutes on the light-skinned dude in the Navy outfit. Now, I know he wasn't talking about a woman, my wife, or my whatever, but I just sat there, sipped my drink, smiled through it, and turned it into a very good night. So what I'm just trying to say is, even like there are other ways to deal with this nonsense that don't have to, anyway. Plus, we got to be careful with being out here slapping people, because Kim, like you could get a lot of dudes really hurt out here. You could you are encouraging a lot of. Anyway, so we gotta be careful who's slapping who out here, because anyway.
No, there's not enough slaps. Not enough slaps. Like I talked about the Joe Budden shit last night on my show. Somebody should have been slapped that nigga. You understand? There's not enough slaps out here. There's not enough problematic dudes getting fucking slapped. I stand by that. 10 toes down. I stand by that.
All right, then let's get on.
We need to slap.
All right. Then we need more people in warrior class. Then let's get more people showing up to warrior class. Yeah, the chat is hilarious. Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show here at Black Power Media. Please do like, share, subscribe. Help us get to that 20,000 subscriber mark and prove to these YouTube streets that this kind of collective can thrive and do what we've come here to do. So anyway, who's up first? We can only go up from here, as they say. Right?
I sent you both my email with some stories in it if you guys don't have any stories ready to rock and roll. But if we have a story ready to rock and roll, we could rock and roll with the available.
I do not. So I am. Go ahead, and I will pull Kim's stories up while you do that.
Let's go with that first one, the Jezebel story.
Oh, I actually do have something to get to. Whenever we have a lull in the show this morning, we need some controversy and some argument. Just let me know.
Got it.
I got the story for that.
Teeny tiny bit.
No. I got the, no. That was light. That was light work, Kim. I got the real one.
Jared wants to argue. I got it.
Well, maybe it's the last story on a Folks Entertainment, but I just thought this was particularly newsworthy and so forth. Aretha Franklin's FBI file is finally revealed, and it's shocking. So it says, so basically the story is the Rolling Stone has managed to obtain documents that show the Federal Bureau of Investigation's 40-year surveillance of the late Aretha Franklin. Damn. The file on her began in 1967 and lasted until 2007. She died in 2018. The magazine reveals the file is 270 pages and it's full of phrases such as pro-communist, hate America, radical black extremists, militant power, and racial violence. They questioned the singer's relationship with other artists and activists that she had. Some of the documents were heavily redacted. I think that says Kekoff Franklin, the performer's son, told Rolling Stone, "I'm not really sure if my mother was aware that she was being targeted by the FBI and followed. I do know that she absolutely had nothing to hide. Doesn't even matter." So I think for me, the interesting thing about the story is, and again, Aretha Franklin does have an interesting history, and her family has an interesting history of some support for not only the civil rights movement, but opening up space for Black radical movements. So for me, the interesting thing, however, is that obviously she was never an overtly radicalized person, even in her heyday of wearing an afro and being sort of the queen of soul and the rest of it. But this shows in terms of what the extent, to me, the FBI and the federal government will go to in order to check any semblance of Black radicalism or thinking outside the box as they so tell us to think. So it's less about whether or not, to me, she was actually obviously involved in some radical stuff or whatever, would not justify it anyway. But it's more about the surveillance program of the federal government and any connection or inkling to folks who are fighting or suggesting or giving money or making some statement immediately opens up a potential file for you to be followed, for you to be checked, and potentially for you to be targeted in terms of some action by the federal government if they so deem it necessary. And it's all within their parameters. This is strictly an ideological war here. Doesn't matter what she really thinks or thought or did. But the moment that anything suggestive was done that they considered to be something militant, they decided to act and open up a file of her and literally keep track of her for 40 years.
Isn't this just I mean, couldn't this also be construed? I mean, it is exactly what you said it is, Kamau, but these federal dollars basically pay somebody or a team of people to follow around popular artists. Aren't you just grouping Aretha at this point? Aren't you just going to all her concerts and waiting for her outside the studio? Like, how is this not
Somebody was like, I'll surveil Aretha.
I'll do it. Aretha's going to be in Memphis at Stack Studios this weekend, and then she got a show with Sam and Dave. I'll be in the front row, taking pictures.
I need FBI to buy those tickets for me. Put on the government charge.
You know, I think. You know, so I think I'm getting from Mark Anthony Neal or I think this is where I'm getting it, but or at least the basis. I don't think I have the full thing correct, but I know that people have talked about Aretha, and I think Otis Redding and others is doing, you know, trying to repurpose songs like Respect for sort of an undercover civil rights message and things like that, and sort of on the low, you know, trying to, you know, do this and that. But I think it just points again to you know, this point I keep trying to make, that you can't be rich, famous, and radically political at the same time in this country. They will not allow that. There is a constant monitoring of particularly Black art and cultural production, as we've talked about even before with that book FBI's, in response to Richard Wright's poem. They watch what Black writers write. They read what, like, poetry and historical literature and all this other kind of, to just see what Black people are writing and how Black people are communicating, so that they can mimic it for you know, disinformation purposes and stuff like that. So this and that story from The Guardian a couple weeks ago about, you know, the surveillance of Kwame Ture. I mean, I think, you know, it's we would be foolish to think it's not happening now. And continuing, and that it wasn't more even prevalent than we're aware. You know, I'm sure there's more to come out in the years to come.
But the U.S. government follows these targets to their folly, because then they are all surprised when a motherfucker goes and shoots up the July 4th parade. Oh, we didn't know. How the fuck you ain't know? We didn't know. Oh, we didn't know 1,000 people was going to storm the Capitol, even though they had been talking about it online for weeks beforehand. Oh, we didn't know. They too busy watching Black people. Y'all too busy watching Black people. Meanwhile, white.
But it's also, Kim, the Black people that they're watching somehow can still end up dead without them knowing what happened, from whether it's Dr. King or Darren Seals. All of these people that end up somehow under FBI, some sort of state surveillance, end up dead. And it's like, oh, I know we had them under surveillance. As John Judge used to point out, they even had the receipts from Dr. King from the shirt he bought earlier the day on April 4th to wear that night. He had thrown the receipt in the trash somewhere, and they had that receipt, but still somehow can't tell us what exactly happened with that gunshot, or their story, come up with a story that clearly doesn't work. Same thing with, you know, Darren Seals or anybody else. It's like, so to your point, it's like there is a folly to it, but then there's also this mysterious blind spot that occurs right at the point of death of these people that are under their surveillance. It's like, wow, what the, anyway.
Johnson must have been on lunch break when the surveillance target got murdered.
It's like the bullets fired just as they take a sip of that coffee. It's like, pop! It's like, oh,
what happened? What happened?
What
happened? Right?
Damn it! Just missed it.
I'm going to get in so much trouble for this.
I know. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I mean,
get promoted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or realistically, like, you know, we've done our job now. And that's really,
well, right.
Really
he was
what
like,
it is. It's like, we've done our job.
Pop.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Right. Yeah.
We've done our job now. We can move on. But yeah, for me, it's yeah. Again, it's, you know, the scope of it is like, you know, all these resources. Again, it's not like it's in their opinion, it's not misused resources, because the very nature of what they do is to make sure that they can have a cover on everything happening in the Black community, and that they can have a reaction to it. They can use that to plan. So what do we do to stop this, to thwart this from happening? I mean, part of the famous FBI documents COINTELPRO was having snitches all throughout the Black community, right? So not just on what's happening in prominent organizations or radical organizations, but to know what's happening on the block. right? So that they can figure out how to counter it. Obviously, one of the famous documents was around replacing Dr. King or replacing Malcolm X and other Black leaders with handpicked so-called Black leaders that they thought should be leading the Black community at some point. So it's not only about the surveillance, but it's the intelligence they gather and then what they do with it, right? I'm sure they promoted alternative artists beyond Aretha Franklin who should be listened to because they're talking strictly about this. So they're spending their money on big houses. And so we'd rather encourage Black artists to show a lifestyle that is not about sticking together with the Black community, but about projecting wealth, because then that'll get the larger neighborhood or larger community to follow that example as opposed to other examples. So I think those things are obviously part of the surveillance. Again, it's not so much that it's crazy, of course, when you think of it just from a level of like, well, damn, what was Aretha doing that they would just waste all those resources? For them, it's the very point. It's not a waste. It's a collecting of data and information points that they can use to either stop something from happening, get in front of something, and or to make sure something does happen, i.e. assassinations, which they think benefit them in the long haul, I shouldn't even say that they think, which do benefit them in the long haul because it keeps white supremacy in power.
What FBI agents do you think are assigned to watch Black Power media? When I think about,
they're having a great time.
Oh man,
they're enjoying themselves.
The best assignment, you lucky bastards.
You're welcome.
You lucky bastards. Kamal, how thick you think your FBI file is?
I just because of some of the conversations we had on air, I did think about recently doing a FOIL request just to check it out. So I don't know how extensive it is, but I figured a half a dozen trips to Cuba, visits to political prisoners, just different organizing work. It probably ranks something, right? But I don't, so it's something I probably will do at some point, and then read it on air. Be like, look, this is just like. I was like, what? Was I at that meeting? I was at that meeting. Half the time, their records are better than yours in terms of the recollection of things that you've done. There was this book called The Big Dance. It was a reporter did it. It was about the Brinks robbery, and so it basically was a story about the Weather Underground and the Black Liberation Army. And I stressed the Weather Underground first because the reporter, who was a right-wing or moderate reporter, cared more about the white radicals than he cared about the Black radicals. Like, even though it was the Black radicals who was leading it and the white radicals were following them, their reporting was more on the, can you believe these white folks did this? And so they followed people like Kathy Bodine and what's David Gilbert and so forth and so on. But most of the documenting of the book were from FBI files. And so they were skewed in a certain way, of course, in how they told the story. But folks who were in the book, let's say, told me it was like one of the things, though, just in terms of the accuracy of the calendar and the agenda and the things that they did was mostly on point because they were so closely being watched and or followed by FBI agents and so forth and so on, which is one of the reasons, again, for anybody there who wants to be a good radical, you never mix above ground and underground work. Because once you do that, it's not like if they're following you above ground, they certainly know when you go to intend to do underground work. So those two things, one of the lessons learned that's talked about by BLA folks is that you don't mix the two. Either you're underground and you stay underground, or you're above ground and you stay above ground.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think I'd like to submit it. The only reason I hesitate to submit that request is that I'm worried that I won't uphold my family's tradition of solid surveillance, and like I haven't lived up to the tradition, and I'll be a little ashamed. But I think it's a good idea to check in on that to see what they would admit to having done.
Well, Jerry, you're still a young man. You still have time. You still have time.
Right.
No, I'm sure
by activism, but no, but at 51, I think for activist ages, I'm ancient. Like, they're knocking people off it. Is that what it is?
Got plenty of time to go.
Word up. Okay, word up.
Obviously, somebody mentioned should we be doing it because then it puts a spotlight on you. I mean, I don't think it really matters. I mean, if they're on you or they're not in terms of what they're doing. I don't think just because you request a file, it means that they're like, oh, so maybe we should follow you or whatever like that. Maybe it does.
I don't.
I'm just, it's a tool.
No, what I was saying was,
No, this wasn't about you. Somebody asked this question in the chat.
Sorry. Right. Got you. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be worried about that part either. I like I said, I just would be disappointed if like they're like, his grandmother, his uncle, his father, but
this one's a little tame. This is the tamer of the balls.
Don't worry about it.
Or would that be
like,
that would be.
That'd be hurt. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm afraid to get the request.
But ultimately, he's no threat. It's like, well, goddamn.
Now I might have to go smack somebody.
Right. Get your cred up out here, Jared. Go around smack. Go back to the dog park and let them know. Make a scene again around the dog park.
Well, speaking of somebody who needs to get smacked.
For
not being on the, you know what I'm saying? Ear doctor. Where you at, son?
His computer's not even his. I think his computer's broken.
You ain't gonna say somebody need to be smacked, and I show up like, frozen, "Hey, dude. That's me."
You're frozen.
Get out of here, man.
Did you all see this video of Busta Rhymes from the stage going at this white dude and his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because apparently the girlfriend, he's performing and the girlfriend reaches up and touches him in some way. Mm-hmm. He stops the show and then tells the man standing with her, basically, get your girl, because this, I don't know what you think this is, but I will F your girl.
I will pipe her down. Yep.
He stood. So if I've ever thought like, now that would have been a bigger challenge to me than the Will Smith situation. Like, because he stood up there on the stage with the mic and it stopped the whole show, told the DJ stop the music and stood there for a good, I don't know, few minutes, talk about I will do this and that to your girl, get your girl, have her stand behind you, blah, blah, blah. And the dude didn't say a word. I was like, then you got to leave. You either got to take you either have to request that the woman you're with come with you and leave, or I feel like you got to do something. You can't.
You got to throw a bottle. You got to get a bottle.
You can't just stand there. You can't just stand there.
Yeah, you got to throw a bottle with that.
Oh, now you can't just stand there.
No,
I think that's different.
10 minutes ago, we had to be mature. 10 minutes ago, we had to be mature.
I think these are different. These are totally different circumstances.
Now you can't just stand there.
I would grab her and be like, you know what? He's right. Let's go. Enough of this.
Like, who told you to grab on
what
him?
You doing grabbing this man when you here with me all lusting after him?
That's
what I look like?
That's also part of it.
You know damn
what do I look like? An early Will Smith?
Before they lusting, maybe. You're going to get mad at her for lusting. She shouldn't put her hands on him. I assume she put it someplace where it wasn't allowed, I guess.
No, she might have also said you had to. I did say you had to leave.
I mean, what did she grab?
That's what I'm assuming.
Couldn't tell. I wasn't really clear what was going on. I was just more shocked that this guy standing there on stage, stopping his own show to tell this man, I will do this with your wife and all. I was like, wow, this is crazy. He's gone way
kind
over.
of high there for like a, what could she grab from, like, is it like a
it wasn't like some big stadium. It looked like a small venue. Yeah, very recent. No, this is like recent Busta Rhymes.
This is the new Busta Rhymes career. Okay.
New Busta Rhymes.
Yo, so Kamal, if you and your wife was watching the show and a concert and then somebody like Freddie Jackson came up there and was singing and your wife was
Freddie Jackson.
Freddie Jackson.
That says so much. You just really dogging Kamal right now because you think Kamal's wife has the same taste and she would lust for Freddie Jackson in the same way she lusts for her husband. Why you?
I want to say. I'm saying, would you get mad or you be like, well, that's Freddie?
Well, I get mad for. I mean, I'll think of some other artists. I'm gonna put in place of that artist X, who everybody thinks is sexy. Every straight woman thinks it's sexy, or somewhat straight woman thinks it's sexy. Would I get mad? No, because I'm like, why would I get mad? I think part of the allure of artists and all that kind of bullshit is the sort of like you sometimes think about fantasizing about whether or not you'd fuck them or not. I think that goes across the board. Not always, but not every artist But I think that's partly true of like part of the fame thing is like, what you want to do or whatever like that. So why in the hell would I be thinking so? I mean, I might even give her permission depending on who. I was like, live your fantasy, have your life.
Ooh,
Look at that,
okay.
a real one.
Find
Look at
out.
Kamau.
Some
A
nuance.
real
I'm like,
one.
what are you talking about? I mean, not in my 20s. Like, now I'm old. I'm just like,
So if you fanned out over Beyonce, if you fanned out over Beyonce, she'd be cool.
Leave me alone. I just need to read my book. I want to read my book.
Okay.
Let me know when you're coming home. I'll unlock the door for you.
Can you make dinner tonight?
Right, make dinner.
Kim,
I'll see you later.
so Kim, if you took a dude to a show and like Beyonce, and he was like, "Oh my God, Beyonce," would you be like, "Yo, dude, relax"?
Have you seen Beyonce? Have you seen Beyonce? Like, why would I be upset?
Okay.
Now, if he was standing out over some ugly chick, I'd be like, "Hey, wait a second now. Wait a minute.
Okay,
wait a second. Now, how you fanning out over her and me at the same time? That is true about your taste. But Beyonce, yes, go ahead, baby, go ahead.
For instance, I mean, I thought my her business, but her prior boyfriends I thought were ugly. I was like, you dating that dude? And you like me?
And married you. So what does that say, Kamau?
I know. But I'm just like, damn, you gotta step your game up. I don't know who you dating before.
He was like, damn, you came up.
That's what my wife says about my exes.
Oh, shit.
That's what my wife's view of my exes. She's like, oh my God, I did you such a favor. But look, I think to everything, I think there's levels to everything. I think, like my wife is a big Mark Anthony fan. I don't have any problems with that. She goes to the show all the time. Like she doesn't miss a show. She goes with her sister, her mother, they all roll out. And nobody, I mean, it's like, but if she was like, oh, and by the way, I'm going back to his hotel afterwards and we're gonna be hanging out, then I might be like, well, then go ahead and stay with him then. Like, go ahead and peace and enjoy yourself.
You put it like that, and then you're right.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so what I'm saying, like a fan moment is one thing, and like even if like an attraction or being like ooh, like I don't have a problem with any of that. I think all of that. I think I would have a problem with, for instance, what I thought I saw in that video clip. If the woman I'm with is drunk and handsy with the artist and provoking a situation or inviting the artist to respond or whatever, I might be like, look, come on, we need to work out our relationship. But so all I'm saying is, in that moment though, like you either have to leave or you have to respond. I just can't imagine standing there and letting this man go on and on from the stage holding the mic. Like his legs are in reach. You could grab. You could have swept him and had Busta Rhymes on his back, and like, like shut up, or just say, baby, we gotta go. And if she's like, no, I want to stay with Busta, then be like, all right, peace.
Right. Well, let me go ahead and give our host a quick break as we rock out right here on the remix.
Real quick, ear doctor. If I was out with Kim and Redman showed up, I would expect that my night and my time would be cut short.
Might be over. It
That's
might be
all
done.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
You get it.
Let me say this. Okay. Those opportunities have come and those opportunities have gone. And it is not a problem to kick it with an artist anywhere, really, bus, hotel, and everything still be on the up and up. Let me just leave that there.
You got Redman story?
I got several Redman stories, but I mean, but they're all innocuous. They're all innocent. I have made it clear I have never slingshotted any artist the panties. Some artists I may have been curious about, but I never just bang. You know what I'm saying? I never just just threw the panties at nobody. Come on now, I got some respect. I got some.
In 1995, the Fugees came to Frostburg State, and I would have tried to throw Lauren
the panties.
Hey, I got a Lauryn Hill.
Lauren could have got the panties.
I got a Lauryn Hill story for y'all.
You gave Lauren the panties?
Whoa.
Look, did Lauren get the panties? This is a story I'm down for.
Only thing I give Lauren is a initial. But check this out. we're gonna talk about Lauren real quick, but let me go ahead and get to this quick break right here. I know I ain't right, Jared. I ain't right. Somebody
You
say
ain't
me.
right.
Right here in the Remix Morning Show. Why ain't my thing showing? Let's go. All right. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. We got a little. See, I tried to tell Kamal that my computer's messed up. I had a hard drive go out, and I had to hook something else up until my computer gets back. But he don't believe me. Anyway, once again, let's put a little music under here because right now I want to spotlight a certain artist. What artist do I want to spotlight today? Let's get a little bit of that. We talking about Johnny Guitar Watson. That's right, Johnny Guitar Watson. Man, you talking about a real live guitar player. He's also known as John Watson Jr. He started recording back in the 1950s and 1960s. He came up with a reinvention in 1970 with some funk joints like Ain't That a Bitch and Superman Lover. Yeah, something wrong. And also this right here, a real mother for you. That's right. So he had some pretty dope singles. He had over like 15 albums. He started back in Houston, Texas. His father gave him the piano and started playing. He was playing since 11 at his grandfather's church, and his grandfather was like, here's this guitar, rock out as long as you don't play none of that devil's music. But grandpops, guess what? He played some devil's music, and he made a career out of it. He played a lot of blues, soul, and when people say one thing about him is he's got his name from watching Joan Crawford film, Johnny Guitar. He got his name from that, and also what happened with Johnny is a lot of people will compare him to Jimi Hendrix, and he would get mad. He'd be like, Jimi Hendrix. He'd be like, I used to play guitar standing on my hands. I had 150 foot chord. I could get on top of the auditorium. Those are things Jimmy was doing. I started that. He was like, I started before Jimmy. He also was on the road with people like Etta James. Etta James was like his road dog. They went on the road together, and she was like, she got a lot of his singing and style from him. So Johnny Guitar has done his thing. If you don't know, check him out. That is no other than Johnny Guitar Williams. Now, I didn't say Williams, Watson. All right, well, let's go. Right back to the morning show, y'all. Yeah. Let's get it.
I appreciate that, ear doctor. Johnny Guitar Watson.
I love that point too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and with the Redman redid that Superman Lover song. In case y'all didn't know, continue.
Superman.
I really want to encourage, if anybody hasn't already, to read Ricky Vincent's book on funk music. I'm sure there are other great books on the subject, but that one in particular, because of the lineage that he draws, going back to Kemet, showing this Black musical genius and what it has meant. And one of the points that I'm kind of gleaning from him for this point here is that as much as I love Jimi Hendrix, as much as Jimmy is the GOAT and whatever, he does benefit from being selected by whites for prominence. Mm-hmm. And what that does, to Johnny Guitar's point, is it does erase a lot of the Black genius that predates Jimmy and that Jimmy learned from. That and Ricky Vincent really does a good job of reminding folks that Jimmy comes out of being steeped in a Black musical tradition, where he learned from the Isley brothers, Steve Isley. He learned from people like
Ernie, and Ernie too. Don't forget Ernie Isley.
Sorry, all of them. Sorry, thank you. All of it, but that, like, playing with all of them. Mm-hmm. So then, by the time white folks saw what he was doing, they were like, wow, this is really new and different and amazing. And it's like, yeah, it is, but it also is what Black people are doing. The same thing that happened with like Satchel Paige and baseball and folks like that. The whites were like, wow, this is amazing. It's like, no, this is what we all do. You just don't, you didn't want this work. So
basically that,
you know, anyway.
Yeah,
So
Bobby
Womack
said he's the most dangerous guitar slinger out there. Stevie Ray Vaughan said, yo, he is a beast. A lot of people just gave him props for doing all the riffs and stuff he did. So big up to Johnny Guitar Watson.
Right on.
So are you going to tell us the Lauryn Hill story, B?
Oh yes. So boom.
Out on it.
I'm at the Auburn Street Festival. This is back in the day, back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling jewelry. You know, this is back when I had my locks and I was selling jewelry, incense, oils, and natural shea butters and stuff like that. Oh yeah. So I'm sitting there making jewelry and stuff. So she plays and walks by, and then we stop. It's like time stopped. And she just looked at me. I looked at her, and it was
so simple.
It was magical.
Plays in the background.
And then a month or two later, she has Sweetest Thing video, and the dude in the video looks exactly like me. And I was like, wow. So she tried to recreate the whole scene, and I was like, you go, Lauren. So that's my Lauryn Hill story.
You know what? That's now really interesting, Ear Doctor.
Now we have
you got to go back and watch the video.
And
it reminds me also of the fact that when I saw her on her tour twice, the drummer she toured with was named Jared, spelled exactly like me. So I was like, maybe there is something going on here. She's trying to let us know.
Son, anyway. And then I remember one time she, like had some video of some light-skinned dude with a beard talking, and she just kept staring at it. And she said, Kamal. I think it was me. Oh, my bad. I mean,
I love the fact that you all have clearly done your yoga and your stretches this morning because you niggas are reaching. You niggas are reaching.
Somebody had himself a real
well stretched
story. Right. He done made up some goddamn imaginary thing in his mind about some video or some encounter they had when she was just looking at some guy. You probably had like a gnat on your goddamn lock.
Sweetest
looking at the dude behind him.
Exactly. Imagination running wild. You must have been high that day.
That Sweetest Thing video. You watch it and you gonna see like, damn, that dude look like Ear Doctor. It's all good. I mean, I know it. Chinese? She knows it. We know it. All right, I'll catch y'all later on the next break.
Thank you, Ear Doctor.
I mean, she did end up having a relationship with Rohan Marley, who I did happen to see live when I was in the Navy and went to a Miami football game for Navy Day. Rohan was playing that day. So it's just another connection.
But then again.
Hey, I did go back, check that J period. I got to give him credit. I know there's the racial contradiction. Please forgive me on this one. Check the J period mixtape for Lauryn Hill, and be reminded if you think for a second you might have missed something or slipped on how great she is. It's a perfect reminder. Just it's genius level work. Anyway,
Marley brother ruined that. He ruined it for the rest of us. That's another story.
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that probably went on that he was not helpful with, but yeah, for sure. Anyway. All right. Kim, I got you set up here because I know even Kalanji's texting us about the stories we didn't get to from yesterday. So I know everybody's like, please.
Having a good show. I like it.
I'm having a great time. I don't know what it all is. I'm just recognizing what's happening. That's all. Anyway.
Let's take a look at what's happening in Florida, because Florida is a fuckery, generally, but things are getting more serious for girls and women and non-binary, particularly student athletes. So this is a piece from Jezebel, and the headline reads, Florida schools are asking student athletes, what they mainly say is female student athletes, to report their menstrual histories. Excuse me, what? I'm sorry,
Oh
you're
wait, I don't
asking.
have this link, Kim. I'm sorry, my bad. I don't mean to interrupt, but I don't see that link.
It's
Is
Jezebel.
that the two I got are? Hold
There
on,
should
I'm
have been
sorry, my
3
bad.
articles. Should have been a Jezebel
Oh, I only
article.
got 2 in the email. Sorry, yeah, there's only
Star
I
Ledger.
I'll bring it up for you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
please, thank you.
Now,
My bad,
how
my
does
bad. Okay.
Kamau have it and Jared don't have it when I said it's
I don't know. I'm
same?
even looking at the email here. There's only 2 stories in it.
But
I got
Kamau,
it.
you see, thank you. Okie dokie.
Thank you.
I'll just read until we
Okay,
get it
go ahead.
pulled up.
It's up.
So, Florida has always been notoriously antagonistic towards female student athletes, especially in policing trans girls in their participation in youth sports. But several of Florida's school districts have now taken privacy violations to an entirely new level. For nearly 2 decades, Florida schools have asked student athletes about their periods, a practice that Palm Beach Post calls optional. It's part of a larger, annual physical form that has doctors across the country use to clear kids for sports. But on Tuesday, Jacksonville.com reported that Florida student athletes will now have to fill out that form online, meaning information that was once in a paper file will be stored by schools subject to subpoena and digitally reported through to a third party. In a post-Roe world, parents and doctors are worried about what this information is being used for and why it's being collected in the first place. I don't see why school districts need that access to that type of information, said Dr. Michael Holler, who is a pediatrician endocrinologist who has 2 teenagers, told Jacksonville.com. It sure as hell would give me pause to fill out that form with my kid. In addition, other health questions, the form asks student athletes 5 intimate questions about their periods, including what age they started menstruating and when they had their last period. Florida districts, including Palm Beach, Broward, Hillsborough, and Sarasota counties, will now store this sensitive data regarding the health and bodies of minors on a digital platform operated by a third party, which is called Activate. Aktivate. The software company, founded by former News Corporation executive John Miller, has only existed for little over a year. Scoot, 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 scoot. Most states don't require schools to keep that information on a student's entire medical history, generally requiring only a doctor's signature page that clears the student to play sports. Doctors who work with the Palm Beach School District confirmed that the summary page is the only one that should be shared with the school district. But in Florida, according to Jacksonville.com, all of the medical data is turned over to the school, while Activate says that the student information will be kept secure and confidential. Critics noted that the company is not run by a medical care provider, meaning that it's also not protected by HIPAA laws. If a medical care provider, I'm sorry, I'm having so much trouble reading right now.
If subpoena, it says Activate would have to turn over the information. Even more concerning, Palm Beach County School District, for example, keeps the full medical history packets on files for 7 years. And lastly, I'll read this. I think we're all on edge now, one doctor told the outlet, adding that he had little faith the students' information would be kept private.
Tracking the timing, nature, or even existence of high school girls' periods is ringing major reproductive and privacy alarm bells for students, parents, and doctors alike. Under the shadow of the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe, young women and people with periods have been warned about reporting their menstrual data in apps that could turn user data over to police in response to, quote, court orders, laws, or legal process. I have to get you guys' opinion on this because, you know, I'm a uterus bearer, but I'm not a parent, and you guys both have daughters. And if things like this are allowed to fly in one state, it's not beyond the, you know, the realm of possibility that this type of very invasive monitoring of your daughter, specifically your pregnant, you know, not pregnant, but you know, your menstruating child, could have their medical data monitored not only by the state but by these third party data trackers as well. I would like to get the thoughts of the parents. Thoughts of the parents.
I'm having another. I wish a motherfucker would moment. I'm having like a whole bunch of hostile reactions to this. But I just want to be. But for clarification, did I hear you reading, Kamal, that the story said they're going to hold the records of these girls and young women for 7 years, despite high school, I thought, only lasting for 4? Yes. But them still promising privacy. So then what the hell is the point? What are we really doing here? And then am I also hearing this correctly, that particularly in a state that says it is okay to own guns, to stand your ground and shoot people who terrify you, you do not have also the right to determine your gender or your sexual preferences without, like, in other words, the independence of the sovereignty of the citizen only extends to gun rights and shooting black people. Am I hearing that right? All right, okay.
All of it.
So then, okay, I just want to be clear. So then, I can't. But even Kim, even watching how the state regulates how often my wife can pick up her prescription. For instance, the pill, like they regulate how much of the pill you can get. Like they're telling women, no, wait, you can't come back and refill yet because we have on our data that says you should have X, Y, and Z, and we're not leaving this up to you. So like it's like wait a minute, what? And now we want to extend that down to our children to say, oh, we want to provide us with all the data of your child's this and that. Anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm not good with any of that.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kim.
Well, I mean, theoretically, if you know the child's period onset, right? I mean, in theory, you could track someone's menstrual cycle throughout their life, right? Like if assuming that they have a quote unquote normal cycle, you could figure out when a person could be ovulating really at any point in time for the remainder of their life. I mean, these period tracking apps are that specific. They tell you when you're ovulating, and if your period, again, assume talking about a quote unquote normal period, regular period, you can figure out when a woman is ovulating for the rest of her life in theory. And what is the point of that? There's a specific point of that. Like they are trying to capture as many potential pregnancies as possible and to persecute women for pregnancies that did not come out to term for whatever reason, right? This is very terrifying. This is terrifying. I don't see this stopping in Florida. I see the rest of these fucking crack-a-led states, and they don't have to be crack-a-led states, but they are crack-a-led states following suit to this. So in addition to potentially, which some states have proposed, is prohibiting, in states where abortion is restricted, and literally prohibiting women from leaving the state to go to get abortion services. Some states are trying to make that illegal. And so for Florida to take this additional step of tracking girl athletes periods, because why stop at the girl athletes? Why not all the girls? You know what I'm saying? Why not them all? Why not ask the period data for women who are employees of the state of Florida? I mean, like, where does this end?
Yeah. No, I would never fill out a form that would. It's one thing for a school to ask in terms of a nurse to do a class and say this soon will be happening, or for my daughter the first time she has one to have to go to the nurse to say this is happening, or teacher. I mean, that's one thing, and then you wanted to collect some instant data or whatever like that to make sure the child is okay. It's different to keep these type of records, which the story alludes to the fact that Florida already has a 15-week abortion ban. So you're right. Like some of this tracking could be later on. They can check up and see like, did you get your period this month? Did you get your period? You didn't get your period this month.
Right.
Well, why not?
Why
And then
not?
if you didn't get your period, blah blah blah. So this surveillance, this interference, it's not something that they're being asked to do, but something that because of their political ideology, they're taking the opportunity to stretch their ability to again surveil, track. And I think you're right. I think this doesn't stop at female athletes, although because I think it's also linked to what you said around gender identity. It's like, so instead of having some real policy that may deal with this issue, it's like, oh, so we're going to make sure we track periods. And for us, periods may mean that you're this gender as opposed to that gender. And so therefore we're checking a box also. So all this stuff is culminating around this right-wing agenda that's about policing people's bodies, particularly women's bodies, but policing bodies and not for any reason that is great for that is improving healthcare, that's improving health outcomes. This is about domination and control over bodies. So.
Yeah, I think Kim, you've made the point. Kamal, you just made the point, and I'm thinking of the show we even did a couple weeks ago on bodily autonomy, where the point was also made that this is definitely beyond just the issue specifically of a woman's right to choose or to her reproductive capacity. It's about surveillance. It's about all types of other encroaching right-wing impositions on everything. So this is, and again, particularly in a state that says, unless, and Kim, I know you brought this up, I think recently on a show, one of these shows I was watching from home, the Marissa Alexander case, where unless you are a Black woman who does not hit her Black male target, you are forgiven. In other words, if you successfully shoot and kill the Black person you say are threatening you, you're good to go. But if you shoot the man that has a track record of abuse and hostility and do not kill him, then you got to go to prison and be prosecuted by the same woman that prosecuted or defended what's his face, Zimmerman. So or did not prosecute Zimmerman, I should say. So this is all just it's all just very disturbing, to say the least, for sure.
Well, just for the record, Zimmerman he was prosecuted. He was just found not guilty. And Marissa Alexander,
right.
She was just letting off in the air. You feel me? Like she was just bow, like trying to get, her abuser away from her. And they sentenced her to 20 years for that. Insanity. No, but I mean, listen, Black people do not have constitutional rights, whatever.
She should have killed him is what they were saying. That's what they were saying. You did not kill this Black man, and therefore you must be punished. Because we clearly don't mind that he was trying to hurt you.
It's so funny to me to listen to the narrative. Like if you turn on regular cable news, which I do not, but when I on the mistaken times that I have, these motherfuckers is pulling their hair out, the white folks that is, and some of these coon ass niggas talking about, oh, we got to defend democracy. Democracy's under attack. Democracy's under attack. How the fuck is this democratic that little girls literally from girlhood, from whence you get your period, and just for disclaimer's sake, I got my period in the 5th grade, age 10. So think about that. A potential 5th grader through 12th grade could have her period or their period monitored, tracked, surveilled, for well over a decade and beyond. If we're talking about keeping these records for 7 years, so where the fuck is the democracy for people with uteruses? You know what I'm saying? So,
and then wait a minute, because these are also the same. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like whatever people want to talk about defending democracy, I see that shit being steadily eroded more and more for Black folks, for women, for non-binary people, for trans people. Like that democracy for those groups don't really exist already. So what democracy are we defending?
But this is the same state, right, that says that they don't want sex education to be taught, right?
That's right.
So they don't want to teach, because I'm thinking I want sex education to just be broad. Like, I don't want any specific reference to my children from these teachers when it comes to that. I don't want them specifically talking about my children or looking into their cycles or anything. I don't want them to have any. But I do want them to have a broad sort of general, sex education. But here they're saying, no, we don't want that. We just want the specific invasive surveillance of your children without any, general education around sex and so on and so on. It's that's I don't know. It's the contradictions are consistent, I guess is what I should say about them. And
that's probably going to be your next president. Wow. So
Oh wow! Speaking of our next president, I think the ear doctor's ready to come back with a sports segment.
That I am. So it's going to be a real quick one. I ain't talk about sports in a while. So let's go ahead and get to
a lot happening in the soccer world. It's hot right now.
Okay, you're going to have to let us know. All right, welcome out everybody once again to the Remix Morning Show. We're just gonna do a little bit of sports. My pick for getting to the NFL Super Bowl is, as y'all can see, you got Rihanna doing the Super Bowl halftime show. But my pick is I'm going with the Eagles. The Eagles is looking good, not only because I'm from Trenton and Philly's right next door. I'm just saying they got a nice quarterback over there and hurt. All right, boom. So let's go ahead and talk about no other than, since we're doing sports, let's talk about my homegirl right here. She goes by the name of Jade Cargill. That's right. She is a professional wrestler. She is the All Elite Wrestling Champion, the television champion. The funny thing, a lot of people think that these are a bunch of idiots that's running around here doing fake moves and this, that, but it's not too fake because it's very athletic. She comes from Guilford, Florida. She actually is a Jacksonville University graduate with a social science degree, where she played basketball and pretty much won them some tournaments. And also she has a certified master's in child psychology. So check her out. We don't really talk about, she's Jamaican descent. Big up, blup, blup, blup. So that is Jade Cargill. In case you didn't know, she is a wrestler. Other than that, what other news I got? Now, right now, I'm seeing Muslim on Muslim crime, it seems like to me. You got Kyrie, and then you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem right now is mad at Kyrie and calling him out because, Kyrie's young and he's still into figuring out what's going on and what ain't going on. So it was a tweet by Alex Jones that he put up, which dealt with possible things that could be happening. And your boy Kareem Abdul-Jabbar slams him and says that he's a comical buffoon. I mean, like, really, dude? We don't hear from you much in years. And you come back and slam this dude just because he thinks about some conspiracies. A lot of us was young and was on the conspiracy theory thing. But to come out in public and be like, yo, you're a comical buffoon, come on, B. That ain't right. So I just hope that these cats get it together, especially an elder going in on a younger dude. Relax. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to our morning show host right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah.
See, now that's what I like. The intellectual slapping I'm here for. And Kyrie deserves an intellectual slapping.
I'm here for it all.
From Flat Earth to Alex Jones, Kyrie really needs to sit down and check his methodology.
But does Kareem need to do it for the world to see the show?
Absolutely.
No,
yes.
He does.
Totally. It may help Kyrie to hear that publicly.
Elders should go and he got his phone number. Call him and talk to him.
No. See, this is what I'm saying here, Doctor. People like Kyrie, they're not on a private chat making these ridiculous statements. They're publicly spewing for the world. That can't be checked privately. All these people say, I get emails like this all the time. Like, why don't you just email the person and call the person you're critical of? Because they're rich and famous and saying it on TV. I mean,
they both rich and famous though.
But the point is, he's saying it on TV. You can't just be like, yo,
he put it on a tweet.
Same thing. What's the difference? How many followers does Kyrie have on Twitter? I'm guessing over 1 million.
And how many people see that and think like, oh, maybe that's true what Kyrie is putting down? Let's check that out. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Oh, I like this information. How many people become more conservative because they read Kyrie's tweet, which Kyrie's dumbass don't even know, or maybe he believes in it. I don't know. But so I think the correct answer is to public comment can deserve public comment. He didn't please say to his boys in the locker room.
And
you got to check out this Alex Jones dude.
Dude don't say nothing, but he come back to tear somebody down.
Hold on, but see that you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has been writing out here, baby. He's been putting out a whole bunch of writings. You need to check it out. Kareem has been out here for the past several years, doing a lot of speaking. Actually,
he also had a lot to say after the Showtime series came out. So he's even been in the news a lot more lately, commenting on media portrayals of his own history and this and that and that and this. And that series did make him look kind of ridiculous. So I would have thought he would have had something to say. So I'm just glad Kyrie got checked by somebody that's got the station in life to check him.
That he's going to have to listen to. What is it? What are you doing with it?
Hey,
I don't know.
Do you see this dude?
Don't even.
Who's this dude?
He got the video for the Lauryn Hill
video. Do you see this dude? Do you see this dude?
He looks like a twin.
I tried to tell y'all. Y'all don't want to listen.
So you're saying after this glance you all shared on the street, she went and told her casting director to find somebody like that.
Find him.
Like, I need to create this whole. I had this moment. I'm going to spend literally hundreds of $1,000s on my music video to recreate this moment of talking to this guy who looks like this guy who I saw for 3 seconds while I was walking past his booth. Apparently, I didn't even stop past his booth to go do something else.
Fact.
It's the same thing. No, it makes sense. She did come to Frostburg State. She was invited by my best friend who was running the music thing for the students at the time. So she would have potentially heard my name in association maybe with the early days of Mama's Biscuits. And then she ended up with a drummer named Jared on tour. It's all the same. I get it, Ear Doctor. I'm with you. We right here.
Hey, Jared, you don't try to steal my story, man. It's me and Lauren.
You're right. It's you and Lauren. Your legit story. I'm stealing your legit story.
He probably bring this out at all his DJ parties. Yeah. You ever seen that video with Lauren? And then
that was me.
Let me tell you how that happened.
It's all good. Hey, at least BPM knows it now, and it's out there. So I'll catch y'all next time. And we got to get up to 275. Maybe might be a mix. So let's see.
It is definitely out there, Ear Doctor. Yes, it is definitely out there.
Lauren might jump in the chat
like COVID.
It's like, I don't know who this dude is.
What if she remembered that? That would be interesting.
She remembers nothing.
She might.
Oh, it's almost like asking if she remembered her birth. It's just washed out. It's like she doesn't remember. Where she remember that shit?
Oh,
he made that all up in his head.
I just want
his story, not Lauren's.
I just hope she remembers her own brilliance. That's all.
Exactly. I hope she remembers to show up on time for her next show. That's what I hope.
Did you? No, did you see? You haven't seen the clips where she's very clear about that.
Oh, she's like, you better wait, right?
Yeah, she was very clear. She was like, you cannot regulate this process. And if I'm late, it's what it is. She went in on somebody on stage. Like she's very like, don't play with me about being late.
Which is very bizarre, can I say? I mean, I like Lauren generally because it's like, lady, this is where I will agree with Ear Doctor about professionalism. If we're an artist coming to see you and we paid money to see you and you're supposed to be on stage at 9:30, you don't get on stage till 11:30. Honey, this is not 1996. People have jobs and children that they need to get home to. Like, you can't be out here playing with people's time. Oh, on weeknight? Lauren, you better get your shit together. You better get your shit together.
Like the process earlier.
No shit, right. Lauren talking about, this is a process. We done paid $90 for this tickets, Lauryn Hill. Get your ass on this goddamn stage at 9:30. Stop fucking playing with people.
I fully agree. Absolutely.
Like, get off the phone with the Ear Doctor. Stop talking. You don't got to call the Ear Doctor.
Reminiscing about that moment on the New Jersey street.
Do y'all have any stories?
I mean, I still have the other two. Well, I have two of the other ones that you had sent us. If you want to get to either of those, I do also have the one that Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Get to your story, Jared. I need to pull up those other stories in front of me.
I have not finished the article. I admit that, but I also admit to being somewhat interested in the argument being presented here. So, at the risk of starting something, I thought that this article is at least presented itself as very interesting. I admit I have not finished it yet, but it's written by Jasmine Canick, whose work I feel like I've read before, but the title is Jeffrey Dahmer Was White and Gay and Deal with It. And the crux of the story is that apparently, and I didn't know this, but apparently in response to or in the run up to the recently released Netflix series about Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer, there was a response from the LGBTQ community to have the description at least changed to not reference the fact that Dahmer was gay, with the idea that they didn't want to have their struggle or community associated with this serial killer. And what Canick is raising here is that just like as a Black woman, she cannot fully disassociate herself from the actions of everyone else in her community or whatever, that this is an undue and an unfair response, given in fact that she raises in the article that Dahmer also targeted and killed many Black men. So the idea that that aspect of his life should be somehow reduced in focus or description. So anyway, I thought I thought it was an interesting story. I again admit to not having finished the article, and I did not even know that this was an issue. I have not seen the series, more so because I'm soft in this age. I can't take all the serial killer nightmare stuff all the time. So, but anyway, I thought that was an interesting. And then because she does raise Chappelle in the story, of course, and said in terms of the backlash that he got. Why now would this be an issue if I guess
I think the issue,
if that is a part of someone's life that it shouldn't be, anyway, go ahead.
I don't think there's an issue to me that if obviously the story is going to portray what happened, relatively speaking, hopefully within it would be stupid for them to change the people he murdered to women, right? To make it like whatever, right? So obviously he killed who he killed. But if they put in a tagline description, gay serial killer, blah, 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 or they tag LGBTQ,
right.
Yeah, then that doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, how many straight white male dudes are serial killers? Do you put in the tag straight male, straight white male, put as a tag, or do you say in the description, straight serial killer, such and such and such, right? You just say serial killer, and then obviously you explain who his victims was, or if that is in part of like his sexual interest or whatever, who he's targeting, then obviously that's part of the story. But I think if they put in it something along the lines that it stands out, like the descriptors that he's like, oh, it's gay, then I would, as if I was a part of that community, or even an ally of that community, be like, well, that seems a little bit, you don't make those same, you don't go down that litany of lists, white serial killer, such and such and such, white straight male serial killer, such and such and such. So I think in that respect, then it does seem like it's like that sort of like, again, built-in sort of straight bias, that if somebody is gay or something like that, then immediately you have to point that out to the larger crowd or larger audience you're pointing at, because somehow there may or may not be some relevance to it, as opposed to this person is such and such and such doing ABC. So for me, that's the only thing that stands out, as to like, oh, maybe, I mean, I can't see why a community would push back about that. White folks do not in general, white straight folks do not in general as a community, right, get targeted as such when one of their members does a terrorist act, a criminal act, or so forth. They're allowed to be individualized no matter how heinous that act is. It doesn't come back when some white kid shoots up a school, unless somebody's trying to score some ideological points. Other than that, it's not. But the whole idea, like, we're going to target, or we're going to watch young white guys who are straight, or blah, 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 never happens, right? So I think that may be part of the point that's being brought out. Of course, your serial killer can come in all shapes, stripes, sexual identities, and so forth and so on. But if you're particularly targeting somebody, targeting in terms of saying something about somebody because of their identity, then I think that's where it's like this, like, you don't do that for white dudes who do it all the time, right? Because the white dude gets to be the serial killer, but in your movies, there's also the white dude that gets to be the hero. It's the white person who gets to be the victim. It's the white person that gets to be the middle person. All that. There's a range, a way in which you tell these stories, so that no white folks get stereotyped as having a propensity to do something, as opposed to folks from other communities.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that, Kamal. I mean, people from marginalized communities, when individuals commit, acts against society or acts of violence, it seems as though the whole community has to answer for it. Oh, there was a terrorism attack. Oh, what does the Muslim community have to say about this person that allegedly committed this? Or these young Black children are out here being violent. What does the Black community have to say about that? No, white communities are never taken to task or ask or held accountable and ask the questions in those same ways. I mean, all of these white mass shooters that shoot up schools and other public areas, no one ever goes to random white person on the street and say, what does the white community have to say about this act of violence committed by one of its own? Like, that shit never fucking happens. And whoever this group was, or these collection of individuals who wanted to, subtract Dahmer's sexual orientation away from his larger identity, I just think that's a mistake. I mean, maybe not, you don't have to promote it like, the Dahmer gay serial killer. They don't have to say it like that, but don't subtract that away from him, because that is who he is, who he was. That is part of his story, part of his narrative, and it deserves to be included. And if people need to ask the white gay community, what's up with this nigga? Ask them that question. Put the microphone in their face the same way the microphones come in our faces and in the faces of other marginalized people when individuals do individual acts, and ask them to be held account for what a person from their group did.
So two things just very quickly. One, in just looking at this piece again, when she says that Netflix has removed the LGBTQ tag from its Ryan Murphy created Jeffrey Dahmer limited series, Dahmer Monster, Jeffrey Dahmer's, I don't know what that means. I'm confused by what that means. So to your point, Kamal, both of your points, was it originally titled the gay serial killer? I mean, which I think would be a different thing. And sorry, I keep blurring here, but.
Doesn't Netflix have like a Black section? You know what I'm saying? Like a ebony.
Oh, so it was like in the LGBTQ section. Like,
yes,
I could see. I could see where you'd be like, hold up, why?
But I mean, I don't have. But again, I'm not a member of that community, so maybe I'm not the one to be saying whether or not I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, because again, if we're storytelling, tell all the stories. You know what I'm saying? If there are members of the gay community who are serial killers, tell them stories. Like, I don't see why it's a problem to label it as an LGBTQ story or whatever. I mean, but again, I'm not a member of that community, so I'd rather that community.
I think if it does get labeled as LGBTQ story, or it's like under the LGBTQ list of shows you can watch that's supposed to be targeted towards that community, I don't think that's the gist of the story. The gist of the story is that this was a serial killer who did target LGBTQ folks and was, I think, LGBTQ himself. But does that, like, when I'm looking for stories about the LGBTQ community, is that a story that I'm looking for, right? I'm looking at, if that's a story under mass murder, serial killers, thrillers, true crime, or whatever, that may be different to me. But I'm not sure if I'm looking for that a particular story that's not necessarily again centered around the identity of the larger community, then I too would be like, well, why is that placed there? I don't understand. It's not in and of itself an LGBTQ story. It's a story of a serial killer who targeted LGBTQ people and was LGBTQ themselves. That in and of itself doesn't mean there's some dramatic storytelling about that community per se. Because again, there's serial killers who kill all the time for various reasons. The vast majority of them are sort of white straight folks, white male straight folks, and those folks, that's not. There's no line in Netflix straight white male horror film things, come check that out.
So it's just like, I mean, and to the comment about Silence of the Lambs, I mean, I remember some of that controversy or backlash, but the one, I think, key difference would be that part of the argument at the time of Silence of the Lambs is that the only time you see gay characters on screen is if they're in some sort of serial killer or psychopathic or some sort of, you know, negative role. Today, I would think that the landscape is a little bit different, at least. And where I don't think his sexuality should have been denied, I could see why people being like, why is he in my section? You know, if you know, in other words, you could have had him in the white man section, you could have had him in the man section, you could have had him in the serial killer section, you could have had him in, you know, the regular white American section, you know, but you put him in our section for this. Anyway, I don't, you know, anyway. Anyway, I didn't look at the article very carefully, and I do think there is still some unresolved. Obviously, there's unresolved issues, particularly within the Black community around Chappelle and his stance and all of this, and that's what I think she's also trying to reflect on in that piece. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I didn't even realize this was going on. I saw another story that was asking, why are we getting so many, apparently, I didn't know this was happening either. Why are we getting so many new pop cultural stories and documentaries and series about Dahmer? Apparently there's been several coming out lately. Like, what is the fascination with him all of a sudden?
Name one. I mean, this is what, to me, I'm not watching this Jeffrey Dahmer thing because I feel as though I've seen what new information or light can be shed on a fictional drama. I won't say fictional, but, you know, based on real life events, a dramatization of Jeffrey Dahmer's, you know, murderous exploits. Like, there is something fundamentally wrong with this country. This country is obsessed with serial killers, with murders. If you look on regular cable channels, Hitler, like this nigga, Hitler might as well have his own fucking channel. There's always something on cable about Hitler. There is always something on cable or Netflix or these streaming services about John Wayne Gacy and Richard Ramirez and all these like, we know more about serial killers than we do about actual historical figures in America. And I think that this type of programming, the fact that this type of programming keeps getting greenlit over and over and over again, is very emblematic of the deep sickness that affects the psyche of this country. This country is obsessed with death, not even just death and dying, because if that was the case, we would have been doing way more to stem COVID deaths, right? But something specifically about murder. Murder is a profitable media entertainment engine in this country in ways that I don't think it is in other places, but I can't speak to that for certain. But in America, if you murder somebody, a story will be told about it. The ID channel on cable, it's all white on white violence. Okay, the whole fucking channel, the daytime programming, the nighttime programming, it's all about people getting killed, murdered, police solving cases, etc., etc. There's something wrong with America, y'all. America's fucked up.
Yeah. I agree. Like, they make them stories because they know folks are gonna watch them. There's that curiosity thing about why do they do it. It's never, it's not about solving it or stopping it, right? It's not about like how do we prevent it in the future. It's more about some titillation aspect of it that people do watch here in this country. I do think that's like, you know, I think the horror genre is something that is I guess now spread now, but it's a particular thing about slasher movies and all that kind of stuff. That's a particular American add-on to a type of cinema, right? So I think that stuff speaks, you know, somebody said something about subtler ideology. It speaks to the endemic violence that's part of the culture of this country, where, again, it gets, whether or not it was serial killers or whether or not it started off being how cowboys shoot Native folks in the face or kill them. Those things are the things that are part of the culture, part of the gun culture, part of the culture of settler colonialism is exploration of violence. And again, the violence, it's for exploration. There's obviously a combination of it when it's individual violence, but when it's group violence, particularly white violence against other communities, it is sanctioned by the state. then it's celebratory, right, in its nature. And I think those are the
and
things.
it's all it's all mythologized. So like even when you talk about the cowboy stuff ain't even real. Most cowboys were black and brown, and they were cow herders. They weren't gunslinging and all that stuff. Most of them were like my father's people, just doing regular cowboy work. They turned them into these mythological white superheroes out of nothing, out of pure fantasy, so they could talk about how white people settled the West and were heroic in doing so. So I think all of it is connected. I think completely out of nothing. It's just total bullshit. And we got a whole century long of Hollywood films telling us that they were out there to ride at a range and gunslinging and all this bullshit. Get the hell out of it. None of that is real. But movies about cow wranglers, whatever, what is not as sexy, I guess, especially if they're all black and brown doing all that hard ass work that nobody wants. Anyway, but
and speaking of the cowboy culture, really quick, let me say this real quick. I want to say rise and power to Sacheen Littlefeather, who just passed away. The 75-year-old woman, I believe she was Dakota Sioux. Was she a Sioux woman? Correct me if I have her indigenous nation wrong, but she was the woman who accepted Marlon Brando's Oscar for, was it The Godfather? At the 75, I'm sorry, I'm a little fuzzy on my details. At the 75 Oscars, she accepted, Marlon Brando sent her up there to go collect his Oscar and to make a very political statement about the ways that Native Americans were being portrayed in Hollywood, in movies. And according to Miss Littlefeather herself, she sat for a documentary. She talked about how Clint Eastwood had to be restrained. No, was it Eastwood or was it another one of them crackers? John Wayne. Thank you so much for that, Jared. John Wayne had to be physically restrained from attacking her once she got off stage after she made her statement condemning Hollywood and its portrayal of Native Americans.
And talk about fake ass, punk ass motherfucker. So the dude that avoided real war against men wants to run out there and smack a woman, or claim he wants to run out there and smack a woman. Again, talk about that button I'm feeling today that I wish a motherfucker would button is just being pushed all day today. Like John Wayne, anyway. So
right the chopper saying, Jared, don't hold back for us. Go on in there. Go on in.
Honestly, I'm holding back to be very real. I'm holding back because my children are home today.
They've heard it before. What's that? Don't try to be like I ain't trying to go in because the kids is listening, sir.
It is. I do self-censor. I do let it, But the dude, look, Public Enemy said it best. Motherfuck him and John Wayne. Like Elvis and John Wayne. All of them. Anyway, Kevin Blackistone, my main man, Kevin Blackistone, the sports writer, had a little comment about Littlefeather, and apparently had an exchange with her that he writes about, that where she was a very pleasant and polite and kind woman. So yeah, thank you for raising her up this morning, and shout out to her. Rest in power to her as well. And fuck John Wayne just one more time. Like, how dare you? And Clint Eastwood. How dare you, motherfuckers? Like, how dare you? I just listened to, it's funny you mentioned Clint Eastwood. I just listened to, what is it? The Chapo Trap House podcast, a group of white boys that did a discussion about included an Army veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan talking about the American Sniper film and all of its bullshit, and that all of its Clint Eastwood inspired bullshit. And then they went also, so it was interesting to hear these like regular, true to the earth white boys, American white boys, including Army vets, go in on an Army movie for its bullshitness, its anti-Iraqiness, its American imperialism, its fake PTSD reference in terms of the way the dude is killed, in real life and all that kind of stuff. And then to have a few nice words for Clint Eastwood and his tradition of bullshit and filmmaking and racism. It was interesting to hear that coming out of that context, but it was like, so some even your own people, Clint, have called you out, anyway. So Chapo Trap House, I don't know. It's just a podcast. I see Keontae asking about it, but anyway, listen, as we get to wrap up, can I just please ask, I want to invite folks. Look, I stepped outside a little bit of my bag and tried to do this little parody of film pitch movie. What is it? Pitch meeting. and did one about, started this new little series I'm gonna have a little fun with called Black Film Pitch Meeting. Please check it out. Offer up your comments and your criticism as I try to make it a little bit better and have some fun with it. Anyway, please do check it out and let me know what you think. Trying to, you know, since I redid the studio for Kamau, I'm trying to, you know, see what I can get out of it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. You know,
what's it about? I'm sorry. What's the premise? You
so
said
pitch meeting. So pitch meeting is a very popular, from Screen Rant, the YouTube channel, very popular white, you know, film Hollywood kind of comedic thing, and they do this series called Pitch Meeting, where a guy, you know, it's a craftily edited thing where this one guy produces this thing where it's making fun of how films are pitched and then adapted and then turn up on screen. So I thought, as I've watched it for a while now, I've you know, sort of had the fantasy of saying, well, I'd like to try to do something like that as it relates to film, Black films, and my own kind of critique of those films, but to present it in a shorter, more comedic way. So it's a parody of Screen Rant's Pitch Meeting, and but targeting Black films in particular. So anyway, I do think Screen Rant is very funny, and at least that Pitch Meeting segment is very funny, and so I wanted to try to have some fun with that, and so I did the first one on Malcolm X, on Spike Lee's Malcolm X. Please check it out, and then you know, let us know what you think, and I'll try to, you know, come back stronger for the next one. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
Nice. Very nice.
Appreciate you, Amadi. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Jeez Louise. I'm looking at, I did not realize it's almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm saying time flies.
When we are in Beijing, the time feels different.
I know. I feel like that was a really great show. So you know.
I don't think the viewers thought it was a great show, though. I don't think the remixes. I think the remixes would have appreciated had we stayed on task a little bit better.
I'm not mad at that. They'll be all right. I'm not mad at us feeling like it was a good show, and I'm not mad at them feeling like, you know, we have a.
They want a better show, then they better get some money up.
And there it is.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be a better show because this show was great, but you know, maybe I'll listen to your opinion. So I just want to also end on the GoFundMe. So we still in our fall fundraising drive, something we do terribly over here. We mentioned it at the last 3 seconds of the show. So all the way through, but our Black Power Media Fall 2022 fundraiser, we have now raised over $2,300. There's been a couple of good upticks lately. I appreciate that, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. I need to come out and support. I appreciate the small amount y'all give. I'm like, you know, $1, $2 here. I appreciate that, but you know, some of y'all can give like 20, 30, 40, 50 at that GoFundMe. Somebody gave $500 recently. So
did they really?
No, one of y'all can give up a little bit more cash, help support the crew. Let's get those dollars up so we can pay for this documentary. So Jared won't be mad when the money is short, so that we can pay for equipment, all that kind of stuff we need, up in here. So y'all go to that GoFundMe, continue to give as you can. And again, we are less than 300 away from 20,000 subscribers. So please, make that happen. Do a little bit, James Brown. Please.
Ooh, let me get some begging in too while I'm at it, because I mean, I'm doing a fundraiser drive also on Burn It Down with Kimber. I'm not gonna ask BPM viewers for money, but I will ask y'all to go and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, if we can get BPM over 20K, I know y'all can put Burn It Down with Kim Brown at 4K. So go on over there. Even if you don't like me, subscribe to my shit anyway. Subscribe to my shit.
Yeah, we take hate subscriptions. I'm with that. We take hate subscriptions. Hate on. I mean, yeah, and Kim is absolutely right. It should be across all of these shows. Everybody should be everywhere. So it should be 20K, 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 20. Why would you not be subscribed to Kim if you subscribed here and vice, you know, like it don't make no sense. So do that and go ahead and sprinkle. I don't mind the sprinkling. You could sprinkle us, sprinkle Kim, sprinkle us. E40, sprinkle me, man.
Yes, like we need to sprinkle some lights over Kamau, because God forbid there be cloudy mornings in Atlanta going forward.
I was gonna say, it's a little brighter, right?
I know, but we can't rely on the sun.
You know what I'm saying? The sun got enough
now.
to do, Kamal. Jesus Christ. He's like, the sun is like, I'm heating up the whole world. You know what I'm saying? And you want more light for your whack ass podcast? God damn it.
I thought you were about to say something about Kamal's face. I was about to be, ooh.
No, I'm going to leave that to you, Kim. Go ahead and get it.
What is there to say?
Get all us light skins.
I know, but I just clown y'all for being light skinned. Y'all not good looking. Y'all are attractive men. Y'all just light as shit, and I will continue to drop these.
I am not that light. Caramel.
Not in the dark. No.
Only. No. I just let go of my denial faster than Kamal. Apparently, I just.
If Lauryn Hill saw me, she'd be like,
my melanin left with my hair.
If Lauryn Hill
my
saw
melanin
me,
in my hair was like, "We out, son."
She's like, "Who's that good-looking brown dude behind?"
Who will never turn on his microphone. Still, but that's another story. I need
the money. We need the money.
No, you need to push some buttons. You need to push some buttons. Appreciate you, Keontae, for bigging up your
everybody.
Membership. Kim, we need some bars. All I can give you is other people's bars, Keontae. So make a request for a rap song, and I will rap it for you. But the rap song cannot have recorded after 2008 because I won't know it. Okay, because I won't know it. So you got to request something from the old school, and I will give it to you right here.
That's right. Tune in tomorrow, and you'll get it.
Your doctor said it is 10 o'clock. Time to go. Check me out tonight, y'all. Be on Status Cool 5 p.m. So we'll catch y'all back here on the Remix Morning Show, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Jared, you gonna be on with us tomorrow?
I don't think so. I got to go back to work. Somebody got to, what did Eddie Murphy say about Johnny Carson's divorce? I got to throw my pennies on that pile that my wife has created. So you know what I mean? I gotta throw my little contribution in there. She put the pile, and I throw it as it's like, no, I'm like Arsenio Hall's partner in Harlem Nights with the pop gun. My wife is over there. Pop!
You put that little ass gun away.
I made my contribution.
If you don't put that little paycheck ass, throw that on the pile. It's just that little paycheck ass. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I will see you all Friday, and I'll be in the audience tomorrow. Thanks everybody. Catch you next time.